Hello and welcome to the arcade. Hey, Halloween is almost here, so you know what that means. Time to play some spooky but not scary games because I'm too chicken to finish Alien Isolation. I can't help it, my body hates jump scares. So what are those of us who can't handle playing through PT or Outlast supposed to do when Halloween comes around? Well, I'll add Pumpkin Jack to my list because it's fun and spooky enough to be just what I need for a nice, light-hearted Halloween adventure. Plus, who doesn't love a huge nostalgic dose of 3D platforming? Seriously, this game would have fit perfectly right alongside games like Medieval, Jak and Daxter, Crash Bandicoot, and even Shrek 2. And I managed to snag the game recently on a fantastic sale. So let's talk about it.
Pumpkin Jack is a 3D platformer with some action elements and puzzles in there too. It also has some nice variety sections like kart races and memory games. Overall, the game feels a lot like Jak and Daxter or something similar to that. Although it does have a lot that makes it unique as well, particularly in the art department. This is one good-looking game with a really strong style, great lighting and other effects, and great character and level designs. I beat the game in about 4.5 hours and died around 20 times. Yeah, the game keeps track. But I bet most people could beat it a little faster than I did. You don't have to though, as there's a lot of little collectibles to find and even pop culture Easter eggs to discover as well. The story follows the mischievous Jak, resurrected by the devil to defeat a powerful wizard and ensure chaos reigns in this Halloween-inspired world. The devil, bored with peace, unleashes a curse upon the land, but humans summon a wizard to fight back. Jak, now a pumpkin-headed trickster, embarks on a journey through spooky locales, battling enemies and solving puzzles to fulfill the devil's mission. Alongside a sarcastic crow, Jak encounters quirky characters, and his witty, playful nature makes him a charming anti-hero. The story blends chaos, trickery, and dark humor with a lighthearted Halloween twist. The gameplay is a mix of platforming, combat, puzzles, and random variety sections. For the combat, you get to try out a total of 6 different weapons that all have different functions, but all essentially boil down to the same gameplay. There's a shovel, a scythe, and even a gun and an explosion of crows. A lot of the combat requires you to kill off an enemy spawn point so that rats or skeletons don't keep coming at you infinitely. There's a small range of different attacks that work with all weapons. There's the standard left click, which is a 3-hit combo. Then there's the right click that sends your crow companion flying at an enemy as a projectile. Then you have the dodge roll and the dodge roll attack if you time the attack right as you're coming out of the roll. And you get a jump attack and a jump slam attack. I think that's all of them. And there are certain levels where there are so many enemies on screen that you'll end up using all of these different attacks during a single encounter. The game is not that difficult, but I did find myself underestimating the amount of damage that enemies can do at times. The enemy types range from small things like rats and bats, which can fly, to larger things like skeletons, which either use fists, swords, or sniper rifles, and trees, which can do devastating spin attacks. And there's also a unique boss at the end of each level. The first 3 bosses, the Scarecrow, Phantom, and the Witch, are all fairly easy, with the challenge ramping up in the last 3, which are Door, Gluttony, and the Wizard. They are very reminiscent of Super Mario Galaxy or Super Mario Odyssey boss fights, where you perform a similar set of actions 3 times to defeat the boss. The boss fights are definitely one of the high points of the game in my opinion, as the game really gets to show off all of the best things that it has to offer: character design, combat, artistry and design, and even light puzzle elements. And speaking of the puzzles, the main ones don't come during the boss fights, they're usually a little bit before that. There are logic puzzles like the magic bridges, then there are memory puzzles like the musical mushrooms and the gravestone name matching, and then there are reflex puzzles like the ones where you have to hit the correctly shaped explosive present at the correspondingly shaped portal to explode Santa's workshop. Yeah, this game is a little odd sometimes, but that's what we like about it. The puzzles don't usually take too much time, and you can almost brute force your way through them with little trial and error. They are still fun though, for the most part, and I enjoyed some of the better ones even more than the combat, if I'm being honest. But my favorite part of the gameplay was definitely the variety sections, like the boat rides, kart races, and flying sections. The first taste of this is the minecart. You hop into the cart and it drives automatically while you have the time jumps to avoid dropping off the track, while also shooting your crow to knock down upcoming obstacles. Then there's the kart race sections, which are a little different. You have to steer the cart left and right while also pumping it to make sure you keep moving forward. Plus, you still have to shoot your crow at enemies to stop or slow them down. I never figured out a great way to control during this section, but it was still fun. Then there's the boat rides. This one is a little more free-flowing as you have full control over Jack, just like in the normal platforming sections, but you have to navigate on a boat going down a river while there are enemies attacking, the boat flipping over or sinking and forcing you to another boat, and sometimes you have to jump off for a while to do some platforming and combat, and then make your way through a section of the level back to the boat again. There are a couple more variety sections, but I think you get the gist of what they offer. They really are a great departure from the normal sections of platforming and combat, and keep the game from ever feeling stale. There's a few more things that keep the game from ever feeling stale or boring, the levels themselves being a really big part of that. Each level has its own setting, but they all tie into the Halloween theme really nicely. The Fields is the first level, and it has that classic spooky Halloween theme, making you feel immersed in an eerie rural landscape. The atmosphere is thick with fog and filled with dilapidated barns, abandoned windmills, and creepy cornfields. The entire level feels like a haunted farm with scarecrows, undead creatures, and other spooky enemies lurking in the fields. Then there's the Haunted Mine level, which has a dark, claustrophobic theme that contrasts sharply with the more open areas of the game. This level captures the eerie, unsettling vibe of being deep underground, where dim lighting, narrow tunnels, and the constant sound of creaking wood and dripping water keeps you on edge. The mine is filled with old wooden structures, carts, and mine shafts, giving it a haunted, abandoned atmosphere. The Cursed Swamp is steeped in a grim, eerie atmosphere, evoking the feeling of a murky, supernatural bog. The theme of the level centers around decay, mystery, and danger lurking in the mist. Dark, murky water covers most of the area, with crooked trees, moss-covered ruins, and old wooden platforms scattered throughout. This level is blanketed in a thick fog, making visibility low and adding to the sense of unease as you navigate the swamp. Then there's the Skeletown level, which has a playful yet spooky theme, capturing the essence of a haunted skeletal village brought to life in a whimsical, Disney-esque Halloween-inspired style. The town itself is filled with old buildings, crooked houses, and cobblestone streets that seem abandoned by the living, yet bustling with the activity of skeletons and other supernatural inhabitants. The atmosphere is eerie but not overly menacing, blending a sense of mischief and dark humor into the environment. Then there's my favorite level, the Spooky Cemetery. This embodies more of the classic haunted graveyard theme and immerses you in an atmosphere filled with eerie tranquility and supernatural dread. The level features rows of crumbling tombstones, overgrown mausoleums, and crypts, all shrouded in a mist and bathed in an unsettling moonlit glow. The setting evokes a sense of quiet foreboding, where the dead rest uneasily and the living are unwelcome visitors. Then the final level is the North, which shifts the atmosphere to a wintry Arctic landscape, introducing a theme of desolation, cold, and isolation. This level is set in a vast, snowy wilderness filled with icy terrain, frozen lakes, and towering mountains. The environment is dominated by a chilling wind and an endless expanse of snow, evoking a harsh, frozen world where survival feels like a constant struggle. So when you look at all three gameplay elements combined with the aesthetics and the level design, you start to feel that this game was really inspired by the PlayStation 2 era. The game feels like a nostalgic tribute to classic PS2 era platformers like Jak and Daxter and Shrek 2, with its linear level design, simple yet enjoyable gameplay, vibrant cartoonish art style, and lighthearted humor. The game's platforming, action, and puzzle-solving elements are reminiscent of early 2000s titles, while its set-piece moments like the river rides and kart races add variety and tons of charm. I think that all these elements combined shows that Pumpkin Jack really captures the spirit of fun and creativity that defined the PS2 platformer era, focusing on an enjoyable, whimsical adventure rather than realism or complexity.
You know, my family never really did Halloween when I was a kid, so it wasn't later in life until I started to appreciate the holiday, and I'm really happy to add Pumpkin Jack to my list of Halloween gaming traditions. And to be honest, I wish there were more games like this. short PS2 era inspired 3D platformers with big personality. I do think it might be trending to bring this style of game back, so we'll see where we're at in a few years from now. This is definitely a style of game I would like to see continue making a huge comeback. And I'd love to hear from you. What do you think of Pumpkin Jack? And what are you playing this Halloween? And as always, until next time, thank you so much for watching.